The containment field hummed at full power, its violet edges rippling around 7 centimeters of red rubber. Inspector Fenari's stylus hovered over the confiscation report, the tip trembling against the form. Across the desk, the human sat with his hands folded, work boots leaving scuff marks on the polished floor. "Is there a problem with my toolkit?" Fenari's mandibles clicked once, twice, then locked mid-motion. He couldn't answer that. Not yet. If you've ever looked at something ordinary and felt the universe shift underneath it, you know why we tell these stories. Subscribe and stay with us. Now, back to that rubber band. A week ago, the hardest decision Fenari had faced was whether to take his lunch break before or after the Halassi freight queue. That was before David Harlow walked into Customs Hall 7 carrying a canvas bag that smelled like engine grease. The transfer paperwork was clean. Human, level 2 clearance. Station Electrician, rotation assignment to Section 9-D. Low priority processing. Fenari waved the toolkit onto the scanner belt without looking up from his terminal, already entering the clearance code for the next traveler in line. The scanner cataloged everything in under 4 seconds. Wire cutters registered, adhesive tape roll registered, voltage meter registered. Then it paused. A yellow flag blinked at the corner of Fenari's screen. Item unclassified elastic polymer loop, 7 centimeters circumference. No match in species tool database. No match in species weapon database. No match in recreational equipment index. No match anywhere. Fenari pulled the item from the tray. It was red, thin, and weighed almost nothing. He pinched one side and stretched it experimentally. The material elongated to 3 times its resting length, storing visible tension along its surface. When he released one end, it snapped back against his chitinous thumb with a sharp crack. He flinched. His mandibles clicked 4 times in rapid succession. "What is this?" David glanced over from the holding bench. "A rubber band for my wires." Fenari turned the object over twice more, entered it manually into the system. Purpose, cable organization, polymer composition, vulcanized natural latex, threat classification, pending review. He almost cleared it, almost stamped the form and sent the human through. But protocol required demonstration of any unclassified item's function. "Show me," Fenari said, sliding the rubber band and a loose bundle of cables across the desk. David looped the band around the cables, neat, quick, functional. The bundle held. Fenari nodded, reached for his clearance stamp. "Does it do anything else?" Which was, by every account filed afterward, the question that ruined Customs Hall 7's perfect safety record. David picked up the rubber band, stretched it between his thumb and forefinger and, without any apparent concentration or targeting posture, flicked it at a small mounting bolt sitting on the calibration table. 8 meters away, the bolt pinged off the table's surface, hit the far wall, and clattered to the floor. Direct hit. Fenari's stylus slipped from his fingers. From the adjacent booth, Officer Drall's scanner hit the ground with a plasteel crack that echoed through the hall. "Sorry," David said. "Old habit." Fenari's mandibles had stopped clicking entirely. In 14 years of border work, Drall had never seen that happen to another Korethi. It was the physiological equivalent of a cardiac flatline. "You aimed that," Fenari managed. David shrugged. "Not really." Drall retrieved his scanner from the floor without taking his eyes off the human. Fenari pulled up Form 7 on his terminal, the one he had never once used in 6 years of customs work. Unregistered kinetic weapon discharge. So that rubber band to remain in the holding chair, while he ran a full kinetic analysis on the rubber band. The scan took 11 seconds. The results kept him reading for much longer than that. Stored elastic potential energy, 0.3 joules. By weapons standards, negligible. A Karethi sidearm discharged 400 times that per shot. Fenari almost closed the file, but the scan had flagged a secondary variable, not the projectile, the operator. He pulled David Harlow's species profile, skeletal subsection, upper limb biomechanics, and there it was, buried in a file most customs officers never opened because humans were classified as a low-threat labor species. The human shoulder joint, ball and socket architecture allowing full 360-degree rotational motion, a throwing mechanism so efficient it had no parallel in the Galactic Species Index. Fenari scrolled further. The wrist added spin stabilization to any released object. Binocular vision provided depth perception targeting, accurate to within 2 degrees of variance at 10 meters or more. He didn't aim, Fenari murmured to himself, reading the numbers again. But that was wrong. The human had aimed. His entire body was the aiming mechanism, so deeply integrated that David Harlow could fire a 1.4-gram polymer loop across a room without consciously engaging the process. The way Fenari breathed through his thoracic vents, automatic, effortless. The rubber band was not a weapon. The human was the weapon. The rubber band was ammunition. Fenari sat with that thought for a long time. Then he opened a reclassification form and typed elastic polymer loop, red 7 centimeters. Class 4 kinetic weapon when operated by human. His mandibles started clicking again, slowly. And now, back at his desk, the containment field still humming over that little red loop, Fenari turned to the holding chair. David Harlow sat with his elbows on his knees, patient, confused, still fidgeting with his wedding ring like a man waiting at a dentist's office rather than a weapons hearing. "Mr. Harlow," Fenari said, "your toolkit has been reclassified." David blinked. "The whole thing?" Fenari slid the itemized list across the desk. 1 elastic polymer loop, Class 4 kinetic projectile weapon, 1 roll adhesive tape, Class 2 restraint device, 1 voltage meter, Class 3 electrical discharge weapon, 14 cable ties, Class 2 flexible garrots. David read the list, read it again. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked up at Fenari with the expression of a man watching someone explain with total sincerity that water was dangerous. "It's for holding my cables together," David said. "That's all." Fenari believed him. That was the worst part. The human genuinely did not register what his own body could do with everyday objects. He knew in the way a person knows they can whistle or snap their fingers. He just didn't understand that no one else in the galaxy could. Chief Inspector Morath's response arrived within the hour. Fenari heard the ping on his terminal, opened it, and found a department-wide memo stamped with Morath's authorization seal. Effective immediately, all human personal items entering border inspection stations must undergo full kinetic potential assessment. No exceptions. No item is presumed inert when a human is the registered carrier. Customs Hall 7, end of shift. Fenari's desk was clean, his reports filed, his scanner powered down, his stylus back in its case. One item remained, the confiscation form, item number 1. A red elastic polymer loop, 7 centimeters circumference, 0.3 joules stored energy. Classification, Class 4 kinetic weapon, human operated. Current status, active containment. Behind the form, the containment field pulsed softly in the empty hall, its violet light washing across the desk in slow, steady waves. Inside it, weightless, turning gently in the suspension current, the rubber band floated, 1.4 grams, held in a field designed for grenades. Tomorrow's story might make you rethink something else you've held in your hand 1,000 times without thinking. We'll be here when it does.